What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Today's a super exciting episode of the show, guys, because we are going to be introducing something new, which I'm really excited to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below about this. And it's been something that's been in the works for quite some time. That being having a co-host, a co-star on the show. I've always thought that that was something that would be really cool for the show, having another opinion. You guys know that I've done on the YouTube channel a number of times. I've had co-stars on the show that are featured in episodes of the 8 Below Show, and they can give our opinions, our thoughts, and things of that nature. Well, with that being said, guys, I have a very special guest with me here today, one that is probably and hopefully going to be more regular on the 8 Below Show, because I always think it's important to have multiple opinions, whether we're talking gaming related, esports related, entertainment related, movie related, and everything in the entertainment atmosphere. So with that being said, I give all of you the beautiful Alyssa Wendt.
Hello.
So Alyssa, I think it's important that the audience gets a little bit, before we kind of jump into all the segments of the show, they understand a little bit about you. Where do you come from? Who are you today? So on and so forth.
Okay, well, I'm originally from West Virginia, a town called Martinsburg in the Eastern Panhandle, about 15 minutes from Maryland and Virginia, either way. Went to high school, was born and raised there, went to high school there, I went to college in the Northern Panhandle of West Virginia, and then did my 4 years of college, got my bachelor's degree, then I met you, and then we started our life together, and then we had we got married, then we had 3 beautiful children, and then just recently we ended up in South Carolina to start a new adventure, and that's where we are now.
Yeah, no, and it's awesome. So when it's really cool, like having Alyssa on the show, because Alyssa brings an element of a different perspective, which I think is really important. With regardless of what it is, we have conversations all the time, usually about different movies that we're watching, games that we're playing, and so yeah, it's really awesome to have her on the show. What are some of the things that you do kind of in your free time? When I know the things that we always talk about, what the things that you're into, but I think it's important that the audience knows the things that you do, kind of side hustles and things of that nature.
Well, my most important job is mom and wife. That's really all I do on the side. But then I like to go thrifting and upsell clothes, shoes, purses, anything that has to do with fashion. I'm really into fashion. So I like to thrift clothes, sell them on Poshmark, Vinted, Mercari. Little slow right now, just because I think because of COVID and all that, people just aren't really spending money right now, but hopefully I can get it back and people start buying more stuff, because I really like thrifting and selling it to people for a cheaper price, because we all like nice things. I guess we shouldn't say all, right? I mean, most people like nice things, but sometimes people can't afford the nice things, so I like to thrift them so people can maybe put in their budget a little bit more, so they're not paying retail price for something that's higher end. I'm just really into fashion, and I just really want to get it up and running.
Yeah, no, I think that's I think that's an awesome thing. Obviously, having different side hustles or things that both of us are really into. Having things that we really enjoy. She likes doing, Poshmark and fashion. I, of course, love doing, YouTube and gaming related content. And, so I think it's an interesting realm, and I'm sure.
Well, I like to play video games too.
No, yeah, of course.
I'm not as good at them as he is. I like to play on easy mode, so it's not as hard, but I do like some video games. Certain ones I like. Certain things aren't really my thing, but I'm into video games a little bit too.
Yeah, right, and that and that's I think that's why we kind of are relatable in a number of different ways, because we both like fashion, we both like gaming, we both like having whether it's from a fashion perspective, having nice clothes. We are into a lot of those things. So with that being said, guys, that is, like I said, as time goes, I'm sure you're going to be learning a lot more about Alyssa and kind of her backstory and things of that nature, which is going to make the show, seem a lot more substance to it than just what you're typically used to with, just gaming, esports, and entertainment-related content. So I love to hear your guys' thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And obviously, it's going to be a work in progress figuring out the format for this thing, having both of us on the show. Right now, we're sitting obviously right next to each other. But moving forward, it very well may change to different formats and things of that nature. But I'm very excited about it. So with that being said, guys, we have a ton of stuff to get into in this episode of the show. So let's get into it. With the release of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, it's been an interesting, obviously, stretch of time for Moon Studios, and that being the developing team of Ori, and the question marks surrounding this franchise. There's been a lot of question marks, whether it's on Reddit, social media. Is Ori going to get another continuation? That coming in the form of a full-blown trilogy here. We, of course, had the first title being Ori and the Blind Forest, to now the Will of the Wisps. What's the future look like here? Because this is a title, guys, that, to me, vibrant, very intriguing, and interesting concept, of course, and where could Moon Studios potentially go with it? But the big question we're going to be asking is Ori 3. Is this something that's going to happen? Is it something that's obviously, something that could be happening in the very foreseeable future? Is it something that's probably going to happen long term? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below as we break it down and go over it. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article that was written by Michael Beckwith with Metro, Ori 3 is possible, but Moon Studios' next game is an action role player. So Moon Studios quickly made a name for itself with the release of 2D platformer Ori and the Blind Forest, which was praised for its gameplay, visuals, and minimalist story. It then received a sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which became just as beloved, as it seemed to bring main character Ori's journey to a close. Unsurprisingly, despite the apparent closure, players would still love to see more of Ori's adventure, and during a recent Reddit AMA, Moon Studios was asked if it had any plans to either make a third Ori game or just another title set within the same universe. So the answer was a simple maybe, as lead designer Chris McIntyre explained that the team feel that Ori's story has been told, though they did leave it somewhat open for a possible follow-up. So what they said was, we really felt that we told the story that we wanted to tell. Ori's story across the two games, he wrote. It's really Ori's journey, and we're happy with where it ended and what we wanted to say through telling that story. If you finish the game, you can see that we've left the door cracked open a bit for a potential continuation, though we don't have anything specific to share at this point. So it's really interesting, guys, that obviously, with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and obviously they kind of created this really interesting story. Obviously, when they talk about having the door cracked open, I think that there's a real possibility that they could make a continuation, especially because of the positive reception that they've got based on, from these other two titles. And I mean, why wouldn't they continue making something in this world or in this universe, even if it was a spin-off or something of that nature? Now, Alyssa, I know you've played this title. What do you think about them potentially making a sequel to it, or I should say like a continuation to round out a trilogy? Do you think it should be a long extended franchise, or do you think it should be something that should be done after a couple of games?
Well, I don't know. I just started playing the first one. So I don't really know what happens at the end of the second game, because I just started playing Ori and the Blind Forest. But I read an article that the reason they came out with Ori and the second Ori game was because the first game only took 8 hours to play, and people wanted a longer game. So they brought the second one. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure if should be a third one. because I haven't finished playing I haven't even started the second one yet.
So Ori and the Blind Forest, though, from what you've played of it at this point, like, what do you think about it? Like, is it something that you think is, that world? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool game. I'm playing on the easy difficulty, but that's just because I like my games to be fun and not challenge. Like, I don't like to be frustrated when I'm playing a game. So I have it on easy, but I think it's a really interesting concept because you have to find these like you have to find these spirit shards and these keystones to get into different parts of the world, his world, and yeah, I mean, I think I need to play it a little longer to see, and I'm playing it on the Nintendo Switch, which is, I'm not used to playing video games on the Switch. I'm used to playing on the PlayStation. So, the graphics are really good, though.
Yeah, the
graphics are really cool, and the music's really cool, and the way, there's like this voice in the game. It's not English, but they like tell you what he's saying, and the voice is kind of like what Ori is like following.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, so far, I really like it. I haven't really gotten too deep into it to where I know all of his abilities and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it seems like I actually started playing the second one first because I thought that was the first one. Mm-hmm. The
Will of the Wisps.
Will of the Wisps, yeah. And then I realized that the Blind Forest was actually first. And I like to play, I know they may not have anything to do with each other. Well, they probably do. But I like to play games in order as they come out. So I stopped playing Will of the Wisps, which that one was actually really cool too, as far as I got into it. And then I started playing the Blind Forest first. So now I want to finish that one before I finish Will of the Wisps. But I mean, if it's as beloved as they say it is, I mean, why not come out with a third one? I mean, it seems like everyone really liked it. So from what I've read about it.
Yeah, and I feel like, for me at least, it only makes sense. I mean, you're only going to make 2 games out of this, mm-hmm. Out of this title. You at least want to make a trilogy, so it's like you can have a collection. What Alyssa is alluding to is that we got the both of the games on a it was like a 2-pack. It was a 2-pack for the Nintendo Switch, mm-hmm. and so has both of those stories, but it'd be really cool to have like a trilogy collection that you could get at some point or another. Yeah. It continues, so while it's possible we may see Moon Studios return to Ori's world, it's not going to be happening anytime soon, as it's currently preoccupied with a new game, which is looking to be an action role-playing game. And I gotta tell you, Moon Studios, after seeing kind of Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, I think that this is a studio I can't wait to see what they do next. I mean, even if it's an action role-playing game, I think, there's a lot of possibility, and I think that I will always be intrigued moving forward because of the visual effects and kind of what they created with Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Was this game only on the Switch?
No, it was on on pretty much all the consoles, yeah. But that being said, Ori's world, even though we want to see it, I believe I would love to see it continue at some point. I think we will see it continue at some point in the future.
He's a pretty cool looking character too.
He is.
He's
cute.
Yeah.
I mean, the question really lies, where could they go? Well, I mean, if you wanted to make a third one that, is almost a prequel to the first 2, something that is, from the very, kind of the origin.
I'd like to see his origin, like where he came from. Like, what is he actually? Or I don't even know if it's a he or a she. What is it? Ori. Where did Ori come from?
And those are all questions that they could answer, of course, mm-hmm. in the next, if they made a third title, kind of more of an origin story. I think that's where I would really like them to go. Or, I mean, something that's in that universe, but it's a different character. It's not necessarily Ori. It's something else. I think they could really open up Pandora's box to millions of different opportunities and possibilities. So, that being said, though, guys, obviously, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, as well as Ori and the Blind Forest, is available on, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch at this point in time.
And the Nintendo Switch, I don't know about the PlayStation, Xbox, but, like, we bought it as a 2-pack. Instead of buying each individual game, you can buy the 2-pack, and it's actually a little bit cheaper to buy it as a 2-pack than buy both separate games. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. But the real question is, guys, is what do you think? Would you like to see an Ori 3? Or do you think that the story's been told and you're okay with them moving on to other games, that being Moon Studios? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Ori 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. So I've talked on the YouTube channel quite a bit about Prison Break, and this being one of my favorite shows of all time, guys. Absolutely incredible show, to say the least. And like I said, I've talked about it a number of times here on the YouTube channel, but I want to talk about some of, the things that may have happened here that really brought the demise of Prison Break and brought down this franchise that I've had such high regard for and so much excitement for, as far as from the perspective of Season 1 to Season 4 in particular. And I want to talk about what happened to Prison Break and what I think the future needs to look like for this franchise moving forward if they do decide to continue it in the form of Season 6, so on and so forth. And I'd love to hear guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, let's get into it. So let's talk about Season 1 to 4, guys. Prison Break starts off on an incredible pace with Season 1. Kind of slow at first, builds up, and then you get to Season 2, which, of course, after they break out, that was just the beginning. Season 2 really ramped up, the excitement in the series. Then you get to season 3, and it's more about, breaking out, whether it's, breaking out of different prisons and things of that nature, and the stakes get higher and higher. And then, of course, Season 4 is when they, of course, are taking down the, obviously, basically the guys who were behind the entire operation and such. And so it was a very great combination. And what we're going to talk about, guys, is if you have not seen Prison Break, we are going to be talking about some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen Prison Break, I highly recommend seeing Seasons 1 to 4, one of the greatest shows of all time without question. But we're going to be specifically talking about the ending of Prison Break Season 4, so you've been warned, and moving forward after Season 4. Because really, the question is what happened here? A show that was so beloved by so many from Fox, so many people became this real cult following of people wanting more Prison Break, loving the show as a whole. And then we get to Season 4, which I believe was the best season, of course, in the entire, series. And it all built up to that moment, and it was satisfying, the ending. Yeah. So the ending, of course, guys, Michael Scofield, the main character, dies in the show, but at the same time, he sacrificed everything so that his friends and family were free. Once again,
he married Sarah. They had a son. And I was very happy with the ending. Like, I was ready for it to just be done. Like, it was a great show. It was just so thought out and, just a genius, the way they wrote it and the way the characters, the great acting. But I think certain shows, when they keep going for too long, I think it ruins the show. And it was 4 seasons. It was really good. And the way they ended it, was it sad? Absolutely, because Michael Scofield, he was the main character. He was the whole reason the show was there. And so it was sad, but they were all together in that final scene, just remembering Michael. And I think it was a beautiful way to end the show.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect as well. I thought that it was a perfect way to end the show. And then when they announced Season 5, I already in my mind was pretty, I was pretty disheartened by it, because I'm like, wow, they're just going to milk this show out for all that it's worth. And Season 5 comes out, and sure enough, faking his own death. It's like, oh yeah, this is totally something that you could believe from Michael Scofield. But I would have rather seen something like that concept, him faking his own death, in Season 2. At the end of Season 2, it's like, oh, is he dead or not? And then you get to Season 3, and he faked his own death kind of thing. It was like this brilliant master plan. But I just thought Season 1 to 4 was so perfectly orchestrated, from beginning to end, with all the characters and everything. And then you get to Season 5, and it just felt so forced. It was unbelievable. And It really, that's what I feel was the downfall. And what's interesting about this, though, guys, is that we talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel. It takes one movie, it takes one game to turn you in the wrong direction. And then all it takes is one game or one movie, one season to turn you right back into a positive direction. So let's talk about the future. Because Fox, obviously, they say, you know what, let's reboot Prison Break. And they do that, of course, in the form of Season 5, which, of course, I know some people liked it, but many of us did not like it who are longtime, of course, Prison Break fans. Yeah. So the question is now that they decided to bring it back, because those are facts, it came back. So what now? So Season 6, what could they maybe do? Because to me, it's like, okay, well, they should have greenlit 3 more seasons, not just Season 5. They should have greenlit, if they greenlit Season 5, they should have had a plan for Season 6 and a Season 7 at least to really kind of continue the legacy, the lore, the story of Prison Break. And obviously, we have not seen the continuation as of yet in the form of Season 6. I think one of the reasons was from a financial perspective. It's all about money, guys, for the studios. And they're seeing not maybe as much of a return on investment as they did from Seasons 1 to 4. Season 5, like I said, was a massive letdown, not just for the fan base, but also for the studio. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with a series that's in limbo right now. A series that we don't know if it's ever going to come back. And what we're left with is Season 1 to 4, which was a masterpiece, and an asterisk around Season 5. And those are things that really bother me, guys, because, look, you know, I would have never wanted them to bring back Season 5, but since they did, I would love to see, because if Season 5 was awesome, I mean, obviously Season 6 would have been greenlit, but I would like to see them at least end this thing off on a high note. Don't like just end it with Season 5 and that's it. You know, you guys, you know, you made your bed here. It's time for you to now lay in it or make it once again. And so I think that they really need to create a Season 6. Even if that's the end, just end off on a high note. Don't end it where you did with Season 5, where they're leaving it open like they're going to continue into Season 6 anyway. So, like I said, guys, I think of shows like Sons of Anarchy. I think of shows like The Sopranos. I think of, you know, all these shows that have had endings. They've been so satisfying for the most part. I mean, these, you know, critically acclaimed shows have had these beginnings to the end, and they're critically acclaimed. Now, like I said, what I would have preferred with Prison Break would have been a spin-off, kind of like what Sons of Anarchy did. They had Seasons 1 to 7. Then they did a spin-off show called Mayans MC. And that's perfectly fine. I love that they're continuing that legacy of the show and such. But I just think that they, you know, it would have been like acting like Jax faked his own death or something. It just doesn't.
And that can't happen. Like, I mean, he literally drove into a truck.
Yeah, I mean, so, you don't want, and that's the thing, you wouldn't even want that to happen. You felt like a satisfying end to, you know, Jax's story. You felt a very satisfying ending to Michael Scofield, and leave it at that. Why are you going to continue trying to milk it for all it's worth? I mean, we see Breaking Bad, you know, they created that show, and then they do a spinoff, Better Call Saul. I would have loved to see a Prison Break spinoff. You know, like a spinoff where you saw maybe his son was now like the next mastermind, or
Lincoln kind of stepped in and was like Michael's brother.
Or you could
kind of like try, like in the 5th season, I feel like they didn't need to bring Michael back. Like, they could have had Lincoln step in and protect his family from the guys who were behind this, because Sarah's married to the bad guy and all this stuff. And I think Lincoln could have been the one that like Lincoln and you know, all the guys from the season. They could have stepped in and protected Michael's family and not necessarily brought Michael back. I think bringing Michael back, I think, kind of ruined it.
Yeah, I know.
They gave him his ending. Like, they gave Michael his ending.
No.
Now, unless, like, Season 4 would have ended where, you know, they had a scene at the end where only we saw, where we saw him in the Yemen prison that he was in the... Wasn't he in the Yemen prison in the 5th season? And that's where they were escaping him from?
Season 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
They were trying to get him out of this Yemen prison where he had been living dead. And once they found out he was alive, his guys from the what was the bald guy's name?
Sucre?
No. Well, yeah, him, but the other one.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, so Sucre, one of the best friends Michael could have had. I mean, he was in his corner. They were cellmates in the first season. Like, they really had a bond that could not be broken. And Sucre would have done anything for him. And so when they found out that he was still alive, they went and got him out. But I don't know. Like, if they had the idea of making a 5th season, I think the 4th season should have ended with a clip of him at the end being in the prison. So then we would have known, like, oh man, he's still alive. Like, there's going to be... See, I think that would have made me way more excited for season 5. Knowing that he was, like, oh my gosh, like, he's still alive. Yeah. And they don't know. But the way they ended it, I don't think they knew there was going to be a 5th season. Like, yeah, I don't think they thought they were going to make a 5th season. So they gave Michael an end. And I think he needed to stay ended.
You know, and I would have loved to see, bringing up Sucre, I would love to see a spin-off show in Prison Break for Sucre, or I think a lot of people, a polarizing figure in Prison Break was T-Bag. Theodore Bagwell, seeing a spin-off of him would have I actually think that would have been much bigger than Prison Break Season 5. If you would have done a spin-off of, like, specifically Sucre or specifically T-Bag, I think it would have been a much bigger show.
Now, I think they have a chance to redeem themselves with Season 6. I mean, but they'd have to make it really good. But obviously, Michael has to be in it because he was in the 5th season and he didn't die in the 5th season. So Michael's back. That's all there is to it. And if they do decide to go on with it, what are they going to do from here? Yeah. You know, is he going to be back with Sarah? Is he going to get to meet his son? You know, well, he did. But are they going to be a family? Are they going to have more issues coming their way? You know? But when I think of Prison Break now, I think of seasons 1 through 4. I don't even think about season 5. It's the original 4 seasons. That's what I recommend to people. I've told multiple people, you need to watch this, and they've binge watched it, and they love it. I tell them, don't even watch season 5, because I'll tell them to watch season 5 and when there's a season 6. Right. I think season 5 would just ruin it for them. So...
And that brings up a good point, but that being said, guys, the real question, though, is what do you guys all think about this? Do you think that Prison Break should continue? Do you think it should just be left to be where it is? Or what do you guys all think about it? And what do you think happened here to Prison Break that they decided to bring, you know, out a season 5? With that being said, guys, I'd love to hear guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. And for more Prison Break content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Tomb Raider and this franchise moving forward as well, guys, to where we are in the present, and then hopefully what we can see into the future. And I want to talk in this segment of the show about Tomb Raider 4. We're talking about the most recent games that have come out, guys, and the continuation that we're hoping to get in the form of Tomb Raider 4, whatever that next upcoming title may be called. And so we're going to talk about everything that we know so far. We're going to break it down and talk about it, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So first of all, guys, Tomb Raider was a very pleasant surprise to me. You had Tomb Raider back in 2013 that came out, and I was shocked at how great that title was. The darkness, the grittiness of it really just made you feel just such a BA character, that being, you know, Lara Croft, and
like right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning in that Tomb Raider. You know, when we go back in time, you go back to like the Tomb Raider of 1996 and these other titles that were coming out, not that they weren't good, but it was just the fact of the matter that it was kind of more of a lighthearted kind of tone, wasn't too dark, kind of reminded me of like Indiana Jones, the early days of Uncharted. Uncharted kind of got darker as it went, but this was very dark, really, from the get-go in the 2013 Tomb Raider. And so that being said, we want to talk now about where we are. So where we stand right now, we had, you know, Tomb Raider back in 2013. Then we had the Rise of the Tomb Raider, which came out in 2015, a couple years after that. Then 3 years after that came Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And all three of these guys, awesome titles overall. Yeah. I gotta tell you, Rise of the Tomb Raider to me was definitely the best one out of the three, but Tomb Raider and Shadow of the Tomb Raider were no slouches either. Now, let's talk about where we are and where we stand right now. So you're thinking every 2 to 3 years you're getting a new Tomb Raider title. So what's next? Well, it's been a number of years. In 2022, it is said to be Tomb Raider Reloaded is going to be coming out. Now, what's interesting about this is that it's going to be taking a little bit more of a lighthearted approach to the Tomb Raider series, which I don't really think I like. Let's just talk about, based on the Wikipedia page, guys, it says Tomb Raider Reloaded is an action arcade game developed by Canadian studio Emerald City Games and Square Enix London for iOS and Android devices. Based on the Tomb Raider series, the game uses the classic character depiction of protagonist Lara Croft, departing from the grittier presentation of its recent titles. The title is set to release in 2022 as a free-to-play game with optional in-app purchases. So, okay. Let's talk about this. So number one, guys, obviously, this is not going to be a direct continuation of that of, you know, the Tomb Raider titles that we're getting more recently. Number one is Tomb Raider Reloaded is going to be obviously on iOS and Android. It's not going to be on consoles. So obviously, this is not a true continuation of that franchise. However, it's going to be another way that you can connect with the franchise, which I think is a really good thing. I think that, you know, having Tomb Raider not only on the consoles and on PC, but you can also now connect on it with your phone, I think that's really awesome. Second really cool thing about Tomb Raider Reloaded is it's free to play, and that's going to get a lot of people to at least try it out as well. We always talk about that, guys, having in-app purchases within the app. I've always said that microtransactions, as long as they're not deceptive to the consumer, and as long as, you know, if it's a free-to-play game, it justifies having those microtransactions within the game. So Tomb Raider Reloaded, guys, overall, we all know that this is not the continuation that we're looking for. However, they're expanding upon the universe by putting it on iOS as well as Android. So that being said, let's talk about where we stand, though, with the main entries in the franchise going on to the consoles as well as on PC. So, from the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you know, this is a title that got a lot of awards, got nominated for a lot of awards, and the reception was pretty good, guys. Sure, it wasn't quite as good as some of the other entries, but it was still pretty good. I mean, IGN gave it a 9 out of 10, Destructoid, 7.5 out of 10, EGM, 8 out of 10. GameSpot, 6 out of 10, a little bit lower on the lower side, but overall, guys, these are, you know, above average reviews at this point in time. So for Metacritic, you know, PC, PS4, and Xbox One, you're looking high 70s into the 80s. So that justifies to me them making another continuation. Number two would be, of course, the sales. And we know that these titles have sold very well for Square Enix, and so obviously, it's just a matter of time till we get a continuation at some point. Now, what that's going to look like is going to be interesting, but according to the Shadow of the Tomb Raider's Wikipedia page, the animated sequel in a joint co-production between Netflix and Legendary Entertainment was announced that an anime-style series adaptation based on the video game reboot franchise was in the works, and that the series will be primarily set after the events of Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So it's going to be, I mean, obviously, they're not only are they doing an animated series, okay, but they're also going to be doing the Tomb Raider, Reloaded, which is going to be on iOS and Android. What they're doing here, guys, is they're really trying to build out this franchise. They're trying to build it out in a way that you're going to have more ways than ever to connect with Tomb Raider and Lara Croft. So obviously, the movie that came out, guys, I thought that the movie was pretty decent when that was released as well. But obviously, the games, though, are grittier, much, you know, darker, which I really, really love the tone of it. So that being said, where does that leave us? That leaves us with this opportunity, for sure, for them to continue right where they left off in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, lots of people are asking the question, is this something that's going to get greenlit at some point? Is it greenlit right now? To me, the movie, or I should say the game, has already been greenlit. They're probably working on it from behind the scenes. They're in pre-production right now, guys. I don't believe that they are really far into production because of Tomb Raider Reloaded, because of the animated series. I'm sure they're working on a number of different things here, but I would say that they're working on it, and I would say we're probably going to see it in the next couple of years after Tomb Raider Reloaded gets released in 2022. So we're probably looking at 2024, 2025 when we will get the next iteration of the Tomb Raider that we all want to see, the continuation of that dark, gritty story. Alyssa, you hear kind of some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes here, from Tomb Raider Reloaded to, of course, the animated series. You've played these titles. What do you think? Do you think that they should continue it, or do you think it should be just a trilogy like they were doing? Should they start all fresh and all new, where it's, you know, lighthearted, no longer being gritty? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the ending of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I think it could go either way. It could just be done, or they could continue, or they could just have her do something else, or, you know. But they were really great games. They really surprised me. I didn't think I'd like them, just because I like games like Uncharted, which is, it's kind of like Uncharted, but there's different aspects. You can use a bow and arrow, which was really cool. I really liked the bow and arrow. I'm used to games where you just use guns, and so that was a little different for me. But the Tomb Raider games were really fun, and I'd like to see some. I'm personally not into games on my phone, like on the iOS, so I probably won't be playing that one. But I'd really like to see another game come out on like the Tomb Raider we're used to, the past 3 that we just played. I'd really like to see another game come out. I think it's a great story, and I mean, it's been around. Tomb Raider's been around since the 90s, and so I think what they're trying to do by bringing back the Reloaded is, I think they're kind of trying to reintroduce Tomb Raider to this generation, not generation, but like this, like the youth that are just now starting to play video games, because some of them were not even born when the first Tomb Raiders came out. And I remember when the Tomb Raiders came out, because we had the very first old PlayStation, and I remember the graphics were so different, and it was super lighthearted, like not as gritty as the newer ones were. And so, I mean, I'd really like to see another one come out. I think they're really fun, and they keep you on your toes. They have a good story. Definitely want to play them in order, though. I think you'd miss some things if you played them out of order. Like, you can play them out of order, but I think you should really play them in the order that they came out, just to get the full effect, the full story.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the thing that I'm concerned about now with a Tomb Raider 4 or whatever they decide to do here, Tomb Raider Reloaded, if this might just be looking into it too much, guys, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts about this, but Tomb Raider Reloaded, they're talking about not as gritty as these most recent games. That's kind of telling me, is this a sign of what's to come? So are they going to bring Tomb Raider back, but is Tomb Raider going to be more lighthearted? Is it going to be kind of like Uncharted a little bit, where it's going to be more appealing to everyone, not so much a mature rating, even though, of course, Uncharted has had a couple of those titles that were rated M for mature, but I just am wondering if they want to get back to more of the T rating so that more and more people can play it. Yeah. It's hard to say. Are they going to go in a more lighthearted direction? They had the trilogy, right? Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Could they make another trilogy that's more lighthearted, not as gritty? I think that's definitely possible. And I'm not saying that it has to be gritty in order for it to be good, but I loved that trilogy of gritty, you know, just Lara Croft being such a hardcore character.
Well, and there were just like parts where you had to not just like battle people, but you had to battle like wolves and creatures, and like I think there was just an aspect to it where, you know, like in Uncharted, I think there's certain places where you battle like certain creatures, but not very often. It's really just people that you're, you know, trying to kill. And but like Tomb Raider, she had creatures she came up against. She had wolves, and she had, you know, and so I think it was like from the very beginning, like the opening scene of the first Tomb Raider, it was kind of scary. Because she fell down that, she was like just in this kind of like graveyard looking thing, and I was like, wow, this is kind of getting dark real quick. I hope they don't change it. I really liked the way the 3 games were. I'm not saying I wouldn't play a lighthearted game, but I like more of the thriller type, gritty type of games. I think they're just I think they're more fun. But.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I say, guys, as more information comes out about Tomb Raider 4 or the next Tomb Raider trilogy or whatever it is that they're planning on doing, I will be sure to keep you guys all up to speed as more information comes out. Question is, though, what do you guys think? Would you like to see a Tomb Raider 4, like a continuation from Shadow of the Tomb Raider? Do you want to see a more lighthearted Tomb Raider? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Tomb Raider 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the YouTube channel a lot about State of Decay 3, and this title, guys, it's as we're getting closer and closer to the release, I am getting more and more excited from the trailers that they've been releasing. This is a title, guys, and a series that I'm not super familiar with. I've played the first two, but I'm not as familiar as far as the lore and the story as many people are in these titles. They are very interesting to me, but I feel that State of Decay 3 is a real step, a different kind of direction that they're taking the franchise in, which I absolutely love. Feels darker, feels grittier, feels like there's going to be some really interesting horror elements to this next one. So with that being said, we're going to talk about everything that we know now about this title. We're going to break it down. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So in an article that's coming to us from Anjali Jha, State of Decay 3 is getting ready to step into the gaming industry. There was a time when the gaming industry was one of the most, this was one of the most underrated ones, but now it is all set to roll over other industries. One of the most beloved industries that is gaming is appearing as a beast in the market, and again is going to launch a new sensation. It is State of Decay 3, and we all know about the craze of the previous two launches of the State of Decay video game series. However, gamers are waiting eagerly to have this one as soon as possible. So State of Decay is a series from which there is, of course, 3 titles that are going to be at this point in time. A third-person shooter, guys. Publishers of the video game series, Xbox Game Studios and Undead Labs, are responsible for the development of the series. The game is about surviving from zombies and gaining victory on every challenge. Zombies are always a term that excites everyone at some point in time. And when we have a game that revolves around zombies, then all of us have that one feeling to try it. Thus, this video game series grabbed the attention of the gamers. Also, players are now waiting for a year and asking, when is State of Decay going to release? So with that being said, guys, the release date is going to be one that is huge. Obviously, this is kind of like the biggest thing for those of us who want to get our hands on the game. Well, obviously, the release date of State of Decay 3 is yet to be declared. However, they had an announcement trailer in 2020. It's been a year. We're still waiting. The game might come soon, or maybe it's going to be coming out at some point in 2022. Could be coming out, in 2023. It's really hard to say, guys, when this title is going to come out. However, that being said, obviously the first title came out in 2013. It was a massive success, guys. Obviously, Xbox, this is an Xbox-owned IP, so it's exclusive to Xbox. You're able to obviously get it from Xbox Game Pass whenever the game does come out. And so there's a lot of excitement around this title. Now, many people are hoping that this also releases on PlayStation. I don't believe that's going to be happening. The first two were exclusive to Xbox. State of Decay 3 will be available on Xbox Series X consoles and Windows. Undead Labs and Microsoft are having a partnership that's about 8 years up to this point in time. And obviously, it's going to be coming out on the next-gen consoles, most likely, or the next-gen console, that being Xbox Series X and S, probably won't be coming out on Xbox One. We'll have to kind of wait and see on that for sure. Now, that being said, though, guys, what I'm really excited about when it comes to this title in particular is what I was saying about the grittiness of it, right? From the trailer, the horror elements. I love the deer that was a zombie. That's something that I absolutely love about some of these video games that we're getting. There's a lot of variety here. A zombie deer, and a lot of other, obviously we're just kind of seeing the tip of the iceberg. The graphics, it looked to me, and I've said this before, that State of Decay 3 is taking an aggressive approach to be The Last of Us for Xbox. You've got obviously The Last of Us that we've got on PlayStation, but Xbox is saying, hey, you know what? We want something that's going to compete against The Last of Us. that being in the form of State of Decay 3. The first two State of Decays, not saying that they weren't good, guys, but obviously they did not even hold up even close to that of The Last of Us from a story, a narrative perspective, gameplay perspective, complete unnerving and on the edge of your seat type of gameplay. I'm getting that vibe here with State of Decay 3, just from the trailers. Now look, obviously we have to wait to see official, more gameplay and things of that nature, but this title looks great. It looks like it could be a terrifying experience and really turn this series in a direction of being a real competitor against The Last of Us instead of just being another horror title out there. Now, Alyssa, you haven't played State of Decay. You have played a little bit of The Last of Us.
Oh, well, I've played the whole first game.
Yeah. So
I haven't played The Last of Us 2, but I played The Last of Us, the first Last of Us.
So obviously, so you have a little bit of experience within the horror realm. You know how big I am into horror movies, into horror games. You're into horror movies as well. We watch those a lot. So, if there was going to be a game that was going to compete against The Last of Us, what do you think another title would have to do in order to be a competitor? I mean, like, obviously, when we look at The Last of Us, you look at a title that is like, on another level when it comes to the horror world. I mean, there's games like Gears of War on Xbox. There's games out there that are creepy like Resident Evil. But The Last of Us really is an unnerving experience that Naughty Dog has done an incredible job crafting. What do you think, or is it even possible for another company in this form of Undead Labs and Xbox, like what would they have to do to even be on that same level as The Last of Us?
I don't know. I don't know. I think The Last of Us was just like really thought out. I don't think there was any zombie animals, were there?
No, it was like mainly like clickers. Well, actually,
so that's kind of something that they're doing different. Even in shows that have zombies, like The Walking Dead, like you never see animals become the zombies. So like what happens to the animals, so it just doesn't affect them. So I think that's a pretty cool feature to see, like maybe animals or the animals turn into creatures because of the zombies. I mean, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to top The Last of Us. I really do. I think it's a great game. I need to play the second one. I just haven't had a chance. I kind of wish like certain games weren't just on certain consoles, because it's hard for me to play State of Decay because I'm more of a PS person, a PlayStation person, where you're is more of an Xbox person. So I hope maybe I can play State of Decay eventually. But I don't know what I think it's gonna be really hard to top The Last of Us.
Yeah, no, I think it's hard for anybody to top The Last of Us, one of the greatest games of all time. In my opinion, I believe it up to this point.
I mean, you used to think Uncharted was one of the best, and then The Last of Us kind of overtook that. So,
well, Uncharted was definitely, for me, the greatest PlayStation game, exclusive game that I ever played. One of the greatest ever.
Still one of the great.
One of the greatest ever.
It's a great
But The Last of Us did top it for me. Wasn't after the first one, it was after the second one that it really topped it for me.
Like I said, I still need to play the second one. But I watched him play some of the second one, and it got even grittier than the first one. So I don't know. There were really cool aspects of the Last of Us where you, like I said, you could use the bow and arrow, which is really big when you're fighting zombies because you can't be, when you're fighting the clickers because you can't be loud, can't make any noises. So that was pretty cool. I think we used the bow and arrow like the whole game. But I think The Last of Us, you really grow to love Joel and Ellie as well. Like, their connection, I think, is what made the game really good, too. So, I don't know the characters in State of Decay. I don't know the relationships or anything like that. Or, is it third person?
Mm-hmm.
Is it... I preferably like third-person games more than first-person games. So, I think it's just something about seeing the person that I'm playing. I like that more than being the person I'm playing, if that makes sense. But I don't know if they can top it. Maybe they can.
I think what they have to do, though, is with any title like this, there's one thing to say, oh, we're going to try to compete against The Last of Us. But then there's another way in your mind that you can say, look, we're just going to be different.
Yeah, like do
we're
different things. Have different weapons. Have different creatures. Have different...
Exactly. Do things that are like, in your back of your mind, it's like, yeah, we're competing directly against those guys over at Naughty Dog for The Last of Us. But at the same time, you're saying the way we're going to compete against them is by being different, not copying what their success, how they became successful. Do what we're going to do that's going to be different. Like a zombie deer, and who knows what they could be, the tip of the iceberg. They could have so many awesome ideas in State of Decay 3 that could really make it stand out to The Last of Us and be different, but still people have that thought like, man, this is The Last of Us of Xbox. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, at least from the trailers. And like I said, guys, we could be looking way too much into this. It may be like just not going to be really trying to be a competitor to The Last of Us. I just got that vibe from the trailer for State of Decay 3. I'm very excited about this title, guys. It will definitely be one of those titles I'll be playing. I'm excited to continue like watching the evolution. I'll be sure to give you guys, you know, more updates and such as we get closer and closer to the release of State of Decay 3. But what do you guys think? I mean, when do you think this title is going to come out? If you ask me, I would say that we're probably pretty close. We're getting closer, guys. I would say we're going to get an update at some point in 2022. It may be 2023 by the time the title comes out, but I'll be sure to give you guys more updates as it comes out. I'm very excited about it. What about you? Are you excited about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more State of Decay 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. So with the release of Call of Duty Vanguard, I thought it would be a good time, guys, to talk about the Call of Duty League and what's happening there. We can talk about who's got the best chance at winning the championship this year at the highest level of Call of Duty. You guys know I'm a massive Call of Duty fan and have been for a number of years. I mean, we're talking all the way back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare to now have been an absolute huge fan of this franchise. And with Call of Duty Vanguard releasing, even though, guys, I wanted something more modern, even a slightly futuristic, we got Call of Duty Vanguard, another World War II title. I gotta say this. World War II, I did not like that much in Call of Duty as far as that title is concerned. I thought the campaign was good. Did not like multiplayer elements of it. Didn't really like it from a gameplay perspective. But obviously, they kind of made up for it when we got Black Ops 4, so on and so forth. And now here we are with Call of Duty Vanguard. Coming off of Black Ops Cold War, coming off of Modern Warfare in 2019, Vanguard to me, and I have not finished the campaign as of yet, but from a multiplayer perspective, from just kind of an overall perspective right now, I gotta tell you, I like it more than Call of Duty World War II. I think that it's better in a number of different ways. However, I do think that this is also going to give us a better, experience from the pros perspective. So when we watch the Call of Duty League this year, I think we're going to have a better perspective there than we did with World War II. I think it's going to be more watchable, essentially. As long as Activision is consistently getting, updating the bugs and, the glitches that are happening within the title. As long as they're making sure that all those balancing issues are good to go, I think the Call of Duty League this year is going to be absolutely awesome. With all the narratives going on, obviously Optic Tex is happening. You have Optic and Dallas merging together as a group, as a team. And so now you have Optic Texas, which I've voiced my concerns about how that sets a dangerous precedent for Call of Duty and the Call of Duty League for a number of reasons, because we're in the very early infancy of this thing. But that being said, outside of Optic Texas, what are some of these other narratives? Can Atlanta FaZe win back-to-back world championships? Can Crimsix go win somewhere else over with the New York Subliners? There's so many different narratives. So who's going to win the championship this year? Well, that being said, guys, I do believe that the team that has the best chances, I would say there's 3 teams, okay? You've got Atlanta FaZe. Obviously, you have to put them at number 1 because they just won the championship last year. Number 2 would definitely have to be Optic Texas, right? I mean, because they've built like this super team around Scump, who I don't believe is still like a mega superstar. I still think he's a fantastic player. I do think that he would probably be the weakest link on the team. I say that, but then he just won the Warzone tournament, the World Series tournament for Warzone, which was awesome. He won that. So obviously he can still win at a pretty high level. So maybe that they've got a pretty good chance. And number 3 for me is definitely the New York Subliners. I think having Crimsix and Clayster together is going to be something really awesome to watch. I'm excited to see that. Tons of narratives around this thing. So to me, who am I going to be cheering for? Well, I got to cheer for all these teams, guys. I got to cheer for FaZe. So with all the narratives that are around the Call of Duty League right now, I mean, I got to cheer for a lot of these teams, right? I mean, I don't have a team that, you know, quite yet, guys, that is near us, right? I mean, we have the Florida Mutineers down here, but I would love to see a Pittsburgh team eventually. I'd love to see like a Carolina team at some point as well. I think both of those would be awesome. But so I'm really cheering for more so the players, right? I'm cheering for Crimsix. I want to see him continue dominating, continue building his legacy as the greatest of all time in Call of Duty. I want to see Optic Texas kind of rebound, or I should say Optic rebound in a major way after what happened last year. And FaZe, I want to continue seeing them dominate. But that being said, all 3 of those, who do I believe is going to have the best chance? I think, guys, the team that's got the most experience when it comes to winning, the team that has what it takes regardless of the game, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of all of that, is Crimsix and Clayster. I think that they should be the favorite behind Atlanta FaZe at this point. I think they have the best chance at winning it all this year because of their experience as just, you know, as individuals. Their individual God-given talent in Call of Duty is unmatched. And I think that they got the best chance at winning the championship this year, and that would be, what a sight that would be if they were able to win a championship together for New York and for the New York Subliners. I think that would be absolutely massive. Now, Alyssa, I know you don't really follow much of the Call of Duty League. I know that Call of Duty is something that you've played on and off. What's your history with Call of Duty exactly? Where did you kind of start playing, and how many of them have you played?
I haven't played very many. I only really play the campaigns.
Yeah.
I've played the multiplayer before, but I'm just not really that good at it. But I think the one that I played the most was Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2 was incredible.
Because my friends and I in college, we like to play the zombies, so that was fun too. Mm-hmm. I'm not really like familiar with a lot of the Call of Duty games. I'm familiar with the Call of Duty franchise, obviously, because of you and you know how much you've loved Call of Duty since I've known you. But I mean, I think the campaigns are really fun. Some of them, I can't really tell you which one was my favorite and which one wasn't. But I mean, I haven't had a chance to play the new Call of Duty campaign yet. So I mean, I don't have a lot to say about certain Call of Duties, but I did like Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2 was awesome. It was the greatest Call of Duty ever made, in my opinion, for sure. Absolutely loved that game. I think when we first met, you had Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
3. Mm-hmm. I think it was a PlayStation 3 you had it on.
Yeah.
And I remember playing Modern Warfare 3 quite a bit. That was a pretty fun title.
Yeah, I mean, I played multiplayer in college. Like I said, I wasn't good at it. It wasn't something where I really cared if I was good at it. It was just something, you know, my college friends and I did in our off time, and then, you know, I got it. I didn't really get into playing the campaigns though until I met you. Because I thought all it really was the multiplayer. I didn't realize there were campaigns you could play. So then I started playing the campaigns, and they're pretty fun. They're not my favorite, but I mean, because they're that first person. And you like the third person. And I'm more of a third person. Like I said, I like to see the character I'm playing instead of being the character I'm playing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, I think Call of Duty, I mean, you really like it. So, and there's tons of fan base around it. You know, there's Call of Duty leagues, and I don't follow the teams very much. I just kind of go by what he says, and we watch it sometimes, and yeah, we'll watch on the TV. We'll certainly watch on TV. Yeah, we'll watch it, and so I follow it. I don't really know anything about the teams. I know what some teams are called because I hear him talk about it in his videos or just in conversation. So And he has some apparel from a lot of the teams. And so I know a little bit about Call of Duty. It's just not really my thing. But, I mean, I think they're good games, though.
Yeah, and all gaming is subjective. You know, something that I love, the next person may not love. And then something that, you know, someone else loves, you know, I may not like it at all.
I think Call of Duty, for me, it's just a lot of, like, you know, you have to practice a lot and just be good at it. And I don't have the patience, really, to do that. I like the game to just kind of flow and be easy and not frustrating, and like I just don't like when it's frustrating. And so I think sometimes during multiplayer I would just get really frustrated because people you play against are really good. And so
a lot of the times,
yeah, because they play a lot and they practice and they, you know, and I just didn't do that. And so I didn't like it because I didn't get anywhere with it. But like he said, you know, some people love it, but you know, that doesn't mean everyone's going to like it.
Yeah, I have never raged in Call of Duty.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But that being said, though, guys,
all-nighters.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Call of Duty definitely has its frustrations. It definitely has its awesome moments. And that's what makes Call of Duty such a great game.
But I think another thing that really kind of turned me off of Call of Duty was I don't know a lot about all the different types of guns and stuff and like different add-ons you can get. Like I didn't really know a lot about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the games I play, like Uncharted, it's not like you have to know what the guns do or which ones are better. You just pick one up and you play. So I think that was kind of hard for, like, you know, a lot about it, you know, and then, you know, you have the sniping and the you know, that stuff, and so it just kind of got frustrating to me.
Yeah, no, and that does happen for sure. I mean, but overall though, guys, you know, when it comes down to Call of Duty and where we stand right now, I'm excited, even though all the stuff that's going on with Activision Blizzard right now and the media, I'm excited about the future Call of Duty, the future of the Call of Duty League. I think we're off to a good start. I think there are some things that are concerning me a little bit about it, but overall, I'm very excited about this being a massive esport, a massive game in the future. You know, 5-10 years down the road, I still think Call of Duty is going to be just as relevant, if not more relevant at that point in time. But with that being said, guys, let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think has the best chance at winning the championship for Call of Duty Vanguard? Let me know. And for more Call of Duty Vanguard content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Shang-Chi was one of the most surprising movies for me in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's not even close, guys. I went into this movie not expecting nearly what we got out of this title. I absolutely loved Shang-Chi. This was an incredible film, guys. From really beginning to end, I thought that there wasn't a lot of flaws, at least to me, within the movie. From a Marvel movie perspective, I thought that it was absolutely incredible. Loved a lot of the lore here. I loved that it felt like a Harry Potter movie, a Lord of the Rings movie, a Narnia movie, all built into one with Kung Fu and martial arts. I just thought that there was so much, you know, substance to this movie that it's quickly now being Shang-Chi 2, already a lot of buzz and talk about the title. It's already climbing my list of most anticipated movies of the future. And so with that, I want to talk about Shang-Chi 2 and everything that we know at this point in time. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article coming to us from the folks over at The Digital Fix, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings finally hit theaters, and to say it's been a roaring success would be an understatement. The 25th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a critical and commercial success, earning 92% on Rotten Tomatoes and raking in millions at the box office. As this is the MCU, it's unlikely this is the last we've seen of Shang-Chi, or his best friend turned ace archer, Katie. So to bring you all the latest news on the Shang-Chi sequel, we've dug into the forbidden tomes in the library of Kamar Taj. What is the Shang-Chi 2 release date? If we know anything about Marvel Studios, it's that they like to plan ahead. The studio has already mapped out its Phase 4 movies, so we know we won't be getting Shang-Chi 2 for a few years yet. That said, They've slowly started announcing more movies that we presume are part of Phase 5, including Anthony Mackie's Captain America film and Deadpool 3. So let's talk about that, guys. So when is this movie going to come out? Well, number one is the story is most likely, and the movie probably won't be releasing for quite some time now. I would say we're probably at least 2, more like 3 to 5 years away from the release of Shang-Chi 2. I mean, look, they built up such huge amounts of excitement around this title. They're going to want to take a number of years to make sure that the sequel is on pace or is like
or even better,
or yeah, on the same level, if not better. I mean, it's hard to believe. I mean, it would be hard to believe if could they top this? Could they top Shang-Chi 2? But we've seen Marvel do it before in the form of Avengers Infinity War. We're like, wow, how could they get any better than that? Comes Avengers Endgame, and my God, blew everyone's mind. So Shang-Chi, if there's any team out there, production team out there that I trust to top what we saw with Shang-Chi, it'd be Marvel, without question. And I'm a DC fan, guys.
Me too.
Marvel has the formula to unbelievable things. So obviously, guys, we're probably a few years away from the Shang-Chi 2 trailer. After Shang-Chi's dramatic ending and intriguing post-credit scenes, Marvel Studios could take the sequel in quite a few different directions. Still, to be honest, it's difficult to predict anything at the moment. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has the potential to turn the Who MCU on its head, so we're not going to make any predictions lest we embarrass ourselves later. That said, if we were forced to, we imagine the story will probably deal with Shang-Chi's sister. I forget how you even say her name. Xialing was supposed to be shutting down her dad's evil terrorist organization, but it seems like she's co-opted the 10 rings for her own nefarious ends, something we doubt her brother will be pleased with. So guys, there was a couple of obviously post-credit scenes, and one of them has his sister taking the 10 rings. So as it's a Marvel movie, we can probably guess that Shang-Chi will be called to assemble the next time the Earth's threatened by some intergalactic purple guy with a death wish and a fancy glove. Who knows? Maybe Katie will join Shang-Chi on the Avengers as well. And I 100% believe Shang-Chi will be one of the next upcoming Avengers. So one person who's already thinking about Shang-Chi's next outing is Marvel Studios' boss, Kevin Feige. The mastermind himself, Kevin Feige, says the early reactions to the characters and to Shang-Chi itself gives me great hope that people will want to see more of these characters, he told comicbook.com. We certainly have many ideas of where to take them and where to put them. What's so fun, we know the movie's working when it's not just the title character that people ask about, but is the co-stars or the supporting players that people ask about. And I agree with that 100%. So before we go further, Alyssa, you've seen obviously Shang-Chi. We finished this movie. Didn't see it in theaters. We waited for it on Disney Plus, and when it came out, we certainly watched it right when it came on Disney Plus, and it was certainly a title that, you know, we had heard everyone was talking about, saying that was really great. But obviously, guys, I'm one of those individuals that I will judge things based on after I watch them. I don't listen to what other people are saying. That's the same thing with gaming, because there may be, you know, a bunch of people saying that a video game is terrible, and I played and I think it's actually great. The same thing with movies. You know, all these people saying Shang-Chi's great. Well, to me, it might not be great, but I gotta tell you, it was great. What were your initial thoughts to Shang-Chi?
Honestly, I went into it thinking it wasn't going to be very good. I was like, you know, but, and so I like the first, 10, 15 minutes, I was just kind of like, oh, this kind of, you know, but then there was, this part where this little round creature with wings comes into the show. I'm like, okay, so we have some fantasy creatures going on here, and then they started showing dragons, and you know, that he went to his if you haven't seen it, I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but if you have seen it, when he goes to his mother's homeland, you know, they have all these creatures, and it's a beautiful place. And I thought it was so cool. I'm really into the superhero movies. I love superheroes. I've been a DC fan my whole life, but Marvel's really stepped up with their movies more than DC has. But I really was like, okay, they're going somewhere really cool with this. And like he has already said, it kind of gave you a Narnia vibe, Harry Potter vibe, Lord of the Rings vibe, but with superhero. So it was like superhero plus fantasy, which was really cool, I think. They haven't done that with any other superhero. I mean, you have your enemies and your, that kind of stuff, but to bring in the creatures and the dragons, and like, I thought that was really cool. I think it really topped my expectations. It really did. And it was like, I kind of went into the same way with Black Widow. I heard a bunch of people say, oh, it's terrible, it's bad. And that was really good, I thought. So, I kind of went into the same vibe with Shang-Chi. I was like, it's not going to be that good. It's really not a superhero we hear much about. And I thought it was probably one of my favorite Marvel movies so far.
For sure. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. Are we going to see Shang-Chi and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Doctor Strange, guys, was another one that just blew my mind. I was like, I don't really know much about this character. When that came out, I was like, wow, this is it's like Inception-like. It's just unbelievable. So Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, could he be in that? Could he be in Spider-Man No Way Home? With Doctor Strange, he opens up this multiverse and you get all these different characters coming through. Yeah. Could Shang-Chi be one of them? Could some of those characters? I think it's absolutely... They opened up Pandora's box, guys. Obviously, they're going to be opening it here with Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the first Spider-Man in a while that I am really excited to see because of all the characters involved. And, of course, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield reportedly... They could be coming back to help Spider-Man in this universe, which is, very interesting.
Because we weren't really impressed with Spider-Man Homecoming.
No. I was not a huge fan of that one.
Yeah. And, there's talks of Spider-Man kind of like taking Tony Stark's place as like head of the Avengers. I read an article about that. Yeah, there's yesterday.
There's a lot of talk about it. I think that it sounds like Sony, though, is trying to get the rights back of Spider-Man, or they have the rights, of course. So this may be the last one with Tom Holland in the MCU, and then he's going to be in Sony's universe with Morbius and Venom. And so there's a lot of talk with that as well.
But I think the last two Marvel movies, Black Widow Black Widow was really good. I don't care what anyone else says. I thought it was action. It was, I've always loved Black Widow as a superhero and part of the Avengers. I think she's great and she's very well known, but Shang-Chi was even better than that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, is that there's...
Because I liked Black Widow because it was more of her backstory and how she kind of became Black Widow and how, like, where she came from. And Shang-Chi was kind of the same way. It was like where he came from. His dad was like the 10 rings, but his mom was also powerful too. Like, she had magic, and so he was the product of both of them, and he was just really powerful. And I hope they continue his story. I think and I hope they add him to the Avengers. I think he would be a great addition to the Avengers, I think.
But that's what I'm getting at, guys, when I say that, not always listening to the noise of what other people are saying. Because a lot of people were saying Black Widow was not any good. And then, obviously, we watched that, and I thought it was great. I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was, like, the best one out of all of the Marvel movies, but I thought it was great. And,
But I like when we get a backstory of these characters that we've loved and followed for so long. It's nice to know where they came from, how they became who they are. Like how Black Widow became Black Widow, how Captain America became Captain America. Like, it's nice to know their backstory. And I think Black Widow was one of the best, for a while. Yeah. But now I think Shang-Chi really, even topped that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely it did. Yeah.
I'm glad it went above my expectations.
Right. Absolutely.
Look, because, I went into it, I don't really know anything about him, and so it was a really good movie.
It was. And
I hope they bring Katie back with him, because she brought, a funny aspect to the movie, and she was, kind of clumsy, but, she ended up being very trivial in the end of the movie. So, I kind of like how they're going to where it's almost like his sister is now going to become his enemy. And so now he has to get the rings back from her. So
yeah, and I really want to see more of that little creature with the wings.
Yeah,
it kind of reminded me of like a Baby Yoda.
It almost made you want it.
Like
it made you want to have one. It's like this little round ball. I'm not even sure if it had eyes, but
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that character hasn't gone viral. We have to make that character go viral.
Cute. That little guy. I don't even know what he's called.
That little guy was awesome. He's a cute character, but he reminded me of like Baby Yoda. But Baby Yoda blew up. This guy, he's he hasn't blown up yet. I think he needs to blow up.
It's one of those creatures that it's like, man, I want one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish they were real because they were cute But then it really started the aspect of, and then a really funny part of the movie was like the guy that was in like the dungeon or whatever. He was like, "Oh, you can see the creature? I thought I was the only one who could see it." Like that was a really funny part. But I really liked that they mixed the fantasy with the superhero. I think that's so cool. It hasn't been done before, right? I mean, they haven't really had, like, fantasy, like, dragons.
But you can tell, though, now that we're getting deeper into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with, like, Doctor Strange opening up the multiverse and stuff, they're kind of opening up this Pandora's box to all this stuff, and they definitely showed that here with Shang-Chi. But that being said, though, guys, the real question is what do you guys think? What do you want to see out of Shang-Chi 2? When do you think we're going to get it? And what characters do you want to see back? What is it? What would you like to see?
Or do you even think there should be a Shang-Chi 2?
Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Shang-Chi 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, that's going to do it for this episode of the 8 Below Show. I want to thank Alyssa for coming on to this episode of the show. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want to have her on more episodes moving forward? I definitely want to start having more co-hosts on the show, more opinions, more perspectives when we talk about everything in the world of entertainment, the things that we love about it. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.